Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
Hello and welcome to the Popternative podcast, the podcast and talk show where we have digital discussions from the worlds of TV, film, pop culture, social media, sports, everything really depending on the guest. We talk about it all. As always, I'm your host, Peter Remoliotis. On social media, you know me as PD Beats. My guest is an actor who's in a lot of really cool projects, including Doom Patrol on DC Universe's Negative Man, and he's also in Greyhound with Tom Hanks, which can be seen on Apple TV. We were with Matthew Zuke. Matthew, welcome to Popternative.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
Right off the bat, I mean, you know, whether it's acting or, you know, directing or writing, it's all storytelling. When did Matthew Zuke decide he wanted to be a storyteller?
Oh, man. Gosh, I've always kind of been like drawn towards the arts. I did music when I was younger. I've always writing poetry, always like imitating, acting things when I was a kid. But I thought I was going to play for the NBA for sure. Was never going to happen. But I didn't really start studying acting until after high school. And then I switched my major to theater and kind of just went all in after that.
And I feel like that's where you kind of learn the craft, right? Like people don't realize that theater is when it kind of all starts.
Yeah, definitely. And I had some incredible professors, and you know, it was definitely, especially for what I'm doing on Doom Patrol, like it's very valuable what we learned.
So we talked about it before we started. I mean, you're Negative Man on Doom Patrol. You do not provide the voice, but everything we see is Matthew Zuke.
Yes.
Which is, we talked about it. It's a very unique, interesting situation you're in as an actor.
Yeah, it's very much it's uncharted territory. It's funny too, because like the first couple episodes was before back in season 1 was before Matt and I had really got a chance to like connect and communicate. And so I was even like, gosh, what is my role? Like, what am I supposed to be doing? And you know, we finally got a chance to like meet up and talk, and he's incredible, a very collaborative guy, and we just kind of like locked in and we communicate about the scenes and what's going on between the characters. And it's a very collaborative thing. And so, you know, I kind of settled into really feeling out like what my job is and how to tell a story with, you know, movement, rhythm, timing, spacing, like all of these types of things that usually, you know, we get to rely on our face, but don't have a face.
And what were kind of some of the, when you were in talks to do this project and be Negative Man, what was kind of going through your mind when you found out that, like, what it was going to be, right? Like, Matt was going to provide the voice. You were going to kind of do like the stand-in and be like Negative Man. What was kind of going through your mind? Because you mentioned it is uncharted territory.
Yeah, you know, so when the audition came in, it was already clear in the thing. It was like, okay, this will be for the on-set performer, and the voice will be, and I didn't know who it was at the time. I actually didn't know who it was even after I had gotten the job. But you know, in knowing that it was like about physicality, it kind of, so like my background in theater, I studied a lot of Chekhov, and Chekhov is very a theater. It's very based on like the movement and physicality and like posture, body, all these things. So you know, before I really knew what it was, because I didn't know how much it was even going to be on. I didn't know how often he was going to be in the costume. Like I didn't know Doom Patrol until I got the audition. And like now I've read the comics and it's great and like I love it. But at the time I had no clue what it was. So I didn't even know what the like time requirement, how many days on set. I knew nothing like that. And so I was just like, oh, this will be cool. I'll be able to like show up once in a while and like put on a costume and move a little bit. Like I had no idea it was going to be, you know, like every day on set doing like a large portion of the dialogue of like being in all the scenes. Because I didn't know that like Matt's there to do like a lot of the flashback stuff and he's there to do all the voiceover stuff. But a lot of the time on set is me here in Atlanta doing the stuff, and then Matt puts his amazing voice work on top of that. And the time commitment was not something. So I was thinking, honestly, when I first got the audition, I was like, oh, this would be cool because I'll be able to like, you know, like make some money on the side while I like pursue my other acting stuff. And like, then I realized like, oh no, this is this is like
you're negative,
the
man.
thing. Yeah. and it didn't even really hit me until they flew us out they had to put me in this I don't know what the word is, but I guess a mold. They put my arms like in a mold thing, and my whole like from here up all the way. I had to like sit in this like plaster thing for like 3 hours while they shaped it to my bone structure and everything. And like I was like, oh wow, this is like some heavy duty stuff. Like what?
So you did mention that you read the comics and before you didn't know about Doom Patrol, but now you know about Doom Patrol. I mean, very simple question for you right now: how does it feel to be part of the DC universe?
Oh, it's awesome. Like I came up loving specifically the X-Men. Like that was my like Gambit was my dude. Like he was awesome. And I didn't know, and like I wasn't the biggest DC person for a while, but I had someone like show me this. I forget which comic it was, but it's this one comic in a Superman comic where there's someone who's like threatening to jump off of a building, and he's very like down in the dumps, and he's thinking about killing himself. And they showed me that I was like, Superman, come on, he's got all the he's too overpowered, like. What a lame superhero. This is what I was thinking, right? And they showed me this comic, and it's about how like human he is and how much he actually cares. And when I looked at that, I was like, wow, there's a lot more nuance than I was giving them credit for. And then I kind of fell in love with DC when I started to like really read more of their print and more of the stuff that they had. And like, I mean, it's kind of surreal. Like it comes in waves where I'm like, oh, right, this is what I'm doing right now. This is mad. Like it really is kind of like a dream, it's dream gig. It really is.
Anytime you work on a project, whether you've been doing it, for 10 years, 1 year, I mean, there's always going to be kind of learning experiences, specifically with Doom Patrol. Wow, what a mug. Can we see that mug again? That's awesome. I couldn't not like. I know, of course. But like, what were learning experiences specifically on Doom Patrol? Like with this kind of role of being Negative Man, or like what did you kind of learn from like the cast and crew? Like what was that experience like?
Oh man, so much, because like this is definitely the gig that I've had where I've had the most time on set, the most material to work with, the most collaboration to do, the most like all of that. Like so it's just been a constant learning, and the people that I get to work with, I mean, it's amazing. They're all everyone on the cast, like, and this isn't even like, I'm not just saying this, like everyone is kind, everyone is collaborative. Like we like to hang out and like we play charades between takes, like things like that. But like they really are, I mean, they bring their A game every day, and I really feel like it's allowed me to kind of elevate myself too, because it's like I get to see how they work, and that rubs off on me. So it's even just like, I don't know, like how to do this, literally, like how to work for 13 hours and do 9 pages of dialogue, and like what that takes and what goes into that, and how to just be a collaborator, because that's what, at the end of the day, like that's what makes it sing, is when people can be thinking about the third thing, this project we're working on, and not their specific moment or their, it's all how it all comes together. And that's really something that it's hard to, I don't know, it's harder to feel that energy when it's just like I'm here for a day doing this one scene, or I'm here for, a couple of days doing a scene. It's harder to feel like you're a part of the whole in that way, because everyone has their own like, thing going on already. But being a part of like an ensemble like that, it really is just like a masterclass in learning how it all works. And
for sure, you're part of a superhero show. Like Doom Patrol is a superhero show. One could make an argument, right?
Yeah. Yes.
But it's a funny superhero show. Yeah. There's some humor in it. Like it's even like season 1, like it's pretty hilarious. You know what I mean? Yeah,
it's definitely got it. That's what's beautiful about it. It has, the highs and lows, the ups and downs, the funny, the dramatic, the depressing, even it kind of goes everywhere. And that's just like, it's like life, right? Like there's days that are up, there's days that are down, there's funny things that happen, there's tragic things that happen. I think that's why even a lot of people can relate to it, because it's not just, and there's nothing wrong with any of these other shows that are more like, like in a world
heavy.
Right, yeah. But I just think this is kind of more, like, this is a superhero show, but it's more like, like a bunch of humans just trying to figure out their own stuff, like
Absolutely.
they're all broken. They don't even want to be superheroes necessarily. Like none of them, except for like Cyborg maybe, but none of them really respond to the hero's call at all, especially at first, right? Like it's very much a bunch of people that are like, oh, I got this thing now because this tragic thing happened to me, and now I got to deal with,
It is crazy. You're active on social media. A lot of Doom Patrol fans are active on social media.
Yes,
Can you talk a little bit about what that has been like, and whether, like when season 2 kind of dropped, did you see like a spike on your social media a little bit? Like what was that?
Yeah, definitely. Like there's a lot of like fans love to draw and make art and reach out, and that has been really cool. It's definitely not something I've really experienced before. I kind of keep a little more of my of privacy or anonymity because it isn't my face, and people don't necessarily, like, not everyone's aware, so it's kind of like, I get to be a little more private still. But there's definitely a lot of people that are like posting their incredible artwork where they draw the characters or they make some poster, and like it has been just really cool. People seem to really like the show, and so I always try to respond and just reach back out to whoever does, because that's really awesome. It's not every day that you get to make some art that a lot of people see, and then it's not every day that when they see it, people really love it. So it's just, I'm so grateful to even be a part of something like that, and that people really connect to it and people really are moved by it is something that is a dream.
One of the things about Doom Patrol, and there's another, DC Universe show like Stargirl, like these shows just look amazing. The way they're filmed, like they're like movies,
right?
Where we like grew up, like I'm a 91, right? So I grew up in the 90s, right? And like there was a stigma attached to TV.
Right.
Where the actors who didn't want to do film or couldn't get into film did TV. That stigma is completely gone.
Yeah,
because these projects look unbelievable. Is it safe to say that the cinematographers and the director of photographies are like the unsung heroes of projects like this?
Oh, absolutely. We shoot a movie every week. Like that's what we do. You know what I mean?
That's the best way to put it.
That's how it feels. Like literally, I remember in season 1, I don't know, we were shooting the scene where the donkey farts, and we're literally shooting on this, and this is like, I don't know, the first episode. So this is week 1 and maybe week 2 of shooting, and we're on this downtown area in Lawrenceville, and there's this giant techno crane, and they got a drone going, and there's atmosphere going in, and I'm just like, oh, this is not your typical, like, this is huge. This is a huge production. And the people that we work with, the camera operators, the cinematographers, the writing, like, it is next level. It is all, these people are at the top of their game. And I think it shows. I think that, like, when you get to work with good material and good people, like, everyone's game is like the next bar,
I really find it interesting going back to like the superhero stuff, like Doom Patrol and stuff, like, they're all like, there's comics and graphic novels, before, like, but there's a lot more than you would think, like series that are based on like graphic novels. Like, for example, there's like the obvious ones, like the DC ones, but The Boys on Amazon is based on graphic novels.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw some at you right now that you're not going to realize.
Right.
Like, so there's a show on ABC called Stumptown. That's based on a graphic novel.
It's everywhere, right? It's like the source material. I think it makes sense though. It's like when you have a good source, writing is, I think, one of the most key components of any piece of art that makes it to film or television. Like, when you have good writing, you've got something, right? And so I think that's why it's a common like way of getting a project off the ground. It's like, oh, well, there's this this built-in thing where people have already read and enjoyed this, right?
You
So it's
double
like,
the fandom in a way too, right?
Right,
Because
right,
you're gonna, you might have the average fan that will like the graphic novels and the comics more than the show or other way around, but you're gonna have a lot of people that are just gonna eat up all the content.
yeah, absolutely. But it is weird because it's like there's so many things that you don't even realize. It's like, oh yeah, that was a book, or that was a graphic novel, or that was a poem, or that was a song.
There's a show on Netflix called I Am Not Okay with This with Sophia Lillis, who's in it, and it is based on like a graphic novel.
Yeah.
And like I had no idea.
Yeah.
And it's just like it's so because then. But then they kind of like feed into each other, right? Because then you realize like Umbrella Academy, because I'm a big My Chemical Romance fan. Like I knew those were the graphic novels, so I knew about the graphic novels.
Just came out. Season 2 just dropped for those.
It did,
right?
yes.
Yeah. I guess,
It's but like man, like it, and you know what? Doom Patrol, The Boys, Umbrella Academy. They're, in my opinion, they're redefining superhero like content.
I think it's cool because they all do it in their own way too. Like they're all deconstructing the superhero, but they're so different tonally, they're so different visually, they're so different, but they're all doing the same thing in that it's like, oh, superheroes, but we're gonna flip it on its head.
Well, have you seen The Boys?
Yeah, I loved it. It was great.
Isn't it like great. It's crazy? Yeah.
It's wild. It's I mean, talk about social commentary on what's going on in the world.
Incorporated superheroes.
Yeah. I mean, because let's be real, that's what would happen, right? I mean, that's where we are, right?
Insane. So where can people follow you on social media to keep up to date with everything?
Yeah, so on Instagram, it's at Matthew.Zuke. And then on Twitter, it's at MatthewZuke. I couldn't get the other one on this. I don't know. But that's it. It's both. Those are the ones I'm the most active on. And I try not to spend too much time on there, but nowadays, what else are we doing with our time?
Man. Well, seriously, congrats on Doom Patrol, because it's awesome.
Thank you. We're
gonna watch it, check it out, and thank you so much for coming on the show. This was awesome, dude.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Well, this has been Popternative. YouTube.com/Popternative for previous episodes, and until next time, this is Matthew Zuke from Doom Patrol and PD Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.